My name is Hannah. I've been a nurse for 40 years, specialized in surgical care. These days, I only work when colleagues and friends call because they cannot manage the workload anymore. I join their ward for a month or two so they can rest, take back their overtime, breathe, and then I step out again. I'm over 60 now. That rhythm is all my body can still carry. In all those years, I have sat beside many people at the end of their lives. Most of them taught me something. Anna taught me something I had not wanted to see. You think you still have time for the trip, for the conversation, for the life you keep planning to start. Anna thought so too, until she didn't. She said something to me that I still hear today. If I had known how quickly we leave this earth, she whispered, I would have lived my life differently. At the time, I was still very young. A nursing student with no real experience of dying patients, I believed, like most young people, that life would always offer more time later. I will call her Anna. She was a little over 50, a very beautiful woman. Elegant, quiet, the kind of woman who seems perfectly composed in every room. She was unfailingly kind to the nursing staff. My task was simple. In the mornings, I helped her shower and get dressed. In the beginning, she could still get out of bed. She moved slowly, but she moved. Over the following weeks, her condition worsened quickly. Eventually, she could no longer leave the bed. One moment I remember very clearly is washing her hair in bed. It was complicated. It took time. It was not easy for her and not easy for me. But she told me again and again how good it made her feel. Not just because her hair was clean, but because someone was there with her. Because for a few minutes she did not feel like an object being cared for, but like a woman who still mattered. She once told me that she had always wanted to look beautiful for her husband. He was the chief physician in the same hospital, a respected man admired by colleagues, the kind of doctor whose name opened doors. She knew that he had betrayed her for many years. We never spoke about it in detail. She only said very quietly, in the end, it is all pointless if you wait too long. At the time, I did not understand what she meant. I heard it as a sentence about marriage, about infidelity, about hurt. Now I know she was talking about something else, about a life lived inside a role that was never really hers. As time went on, her pain became stronger. Back then, there were no pain pumps. I knew she must have been suffering deeply, and yet she rarely complained. What mattered most to her was dignity. She always wanted to look well cared for, even in great pain. She carried her suffering with a quiet, astonishing strength. One day she looked at me and said something that stayed with me forever. You are so young, she said. Take your life into your own hands. Do not depend on other people. Follow your visions, and do not postpone what truly matters. That sentence was not about illness, it was about life. At the time, I smiled politely. I thought she meant travel, study, fall in love, enjoy being young. Only years later did I realize that she was talking about something far heavier, about the weight of a role that women are still expected to carry. Anna had lived most of her life as the wife of the chief physician. Elegant at receptions, gracious at dinners, presentable at every event. She organized his social life, his household, his image. He treated patients, she treated his world. She had raised children, supported a demanding career, kept a perfect home, smiled through betrayals. From the outside, it looked like privilege. From the inside, it was a life in which her own wishes always stood behind the needs of others. As the weeks passed, she began to speak more openly, not in big speeches, in short sentences dropped quietly into the morning. I thought freedom meant being allowed to do the same things as my husband, she said once, to study, to work, to be respected. But in reality, I worked twice as hard. I helped in his practice. I organized everything at home. I raised the children. And still, when people talked about achievement, they talked about him. Then she looked straight at me. Sometimes emancipation is just a new word for giving women more to carry. I did not know what to answer. Today I see what she meant in many of my patients. Women who work because without their income the family could not survive. Women who, even after work, are still responsible for the house, the children, the aging parents. In many countries, women do almost half again as much unpaid care work as men. They cook, clean, organize, worry, manage, and then they go to bed exhausted and call it normal. In Latin America, I have colleagues who are single mothers. They work full days in the hospital, and when they go home, their mothers help them raise the children. Between them, three generations of women carry almost all of the practical weight of the family. The fathers are often far away or present, but not really carrying anything. In parts of Africa and Asia, women are responsible for the family's income and for the household at the same time. They farm, trade, cook, fetch water, raise children. The word emancipation sounds beautiful there, but if you look at the hours they work, you see something else. Freedom on paper, burden in the body. Anna could not quote statistics. She did not speak about structures or policies. She spoke about what it felt like to spend decades living a life that looked respectable and felt like a cage. There is a kind of freedom, she said, that tells women you can be anything as long as you are still everything for everyone else. That is not freedom. That is a trap with better decoration. Then she took my hand. Please listen to me, she said. Do not give your whole life to other people's expectations. Work if you want, love if you want, stay if you want, but never wait for permission to live as yourself. Do not postpone your own life until someone else has finished theirs. I have thought about that many times since. How early we learn to measure our value by how useful we are to others. How rarely we ask, what kind of life would I choose if my main task were not to be convenient? Years later, when I finally read Simone de Beauvoir, I realized she had described exactly what Anna had lived. She wrote that women are taught to see themselves through the eyes of others. Anna had spent decades living as a reflection. She wanted me to live as a person. Anna became calmer as the weeks passed. She accepted what was happening to her body. What she struggled to accept was how much of her time she had given away without noticing. Death itself does not frighten me, she said. What frightens me is the thought of all the days I lived as someone other than myself. Shortly before she died, she spoke once more about what she wanted for me. I cannot change my years, she said, but you can choose yours. Do not wait to be less tired. Do not wait to be less afraid. Choose something that is yours while you still can. So I want to invite you to do something simple. Take a piece of paper, write down three things. Only three, not achievements, not titles, three ways of living that feel true to you. It could be as small as go for a walk alone every evening, or as large as leave a job that is destroying me, or stop pretending I'm happy in a role that is choking me. Write them down by hand and then ask yourself honestly, which of these have I been postponing because I am waiting for approval from a partner, a parent, a boss, a culture? Freedom is not only the right to do more, it is the right to carry less of what was never yours. Anna was calm when she left this world, perhaps because she understood at last that the life she had been waiting to start had been happening all along, every day, in the choices she did not make. You cannot change the years behind you, but you can decide how many years ahead of you will still belong to other people's expectations. And if you feel that freedom has given you more weight than wings, say it out loud. Talk about it with someone you trust. And if you would like me to tell more of what I have seen about what freedom costs women today, tell me in the comments. Maybe the first act of freedom is simply this, to admit how heavy it has become.